and tomorrow will be in the 50s. But here's the good news. As this upper low clears the area, watch what happens as we extend out 10 days here on this animation. The warm air just blossoms through the central United States. This will be the most substantial warm-up that we've seen so far this year, and it's reflected in our 7-day temperatures, which hit 80 or above Sunday, Monday, and hopefully Tuesday. There's a front on some of the models that turns winds off the lake. We'll be monitoring that and updating tonight at 5:55 and on the clock.
Wonderful. We're happy to share time with us this afternoon.
Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Today, the Cubs and Brewers are setting them up to knock them down for round 3 at the friendly confines. Today at 2 Eastern on Superstation WGN.
The Leadoff Man, brought to you by Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs.
We are live from Wrigley Field today, and it's cold and it's rainy once again here at the ballpark. We will start under a rain delay, but when we get going, it'll be the Cubs hosting the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cubs continuing to struggle at home. They're just 3-9 here at Wrigley Field, and they'll try to salvage a finale today against Prince Fielder and the Milwaukee Brewers. Welcome to the Leadoff Man. I'm Len Casper. You can see the tarp behind me. We won't start right at 1:20, but hopefully not too long after that. It is not raining very hard at the moment. The Cubs continuing to struggle offensively. They've been very inconsistent. Last night they had their best pitcher on the mound, at least to start the year, Rich Hill, and it was a pretty good start for the left-hander. In fact, through the first 3 innings, he didn't allow any base runners. Retired the first 10 he faced, including 3 strikeouts. Here he gets the pitcher Jeff Suppan, and in the second inning the Cubs doing what they did a few times, hitting into double plays. They had their chances against Jeff Suppan. They would end up stranding 7 on the night. Suppan went 8 shutout innings. Hanging curveball, and on a night where you think you could throw anything and just say hit it, Prince Fielder into the teeth of a very strong wind with a 2-run shot that put Milwaukee on the board. Yet another double play, a line out double play as it goes 4-6 to end another threat for the Cubs. In the 5th inning, Rich Hill with a bunt attempt, but a little bit too hard, and yet another twin killing. So the Brewers turning 3 on the night, all coming in the first 5 innings. There's the final out as Francisco Cordero picking up his 8th save already. Milwaukee in first place at 13-7. The Cubs a full 6 games back at 7-13. Another disappointed Lou Piniella after the ball game last night.
We had bases loaded with 1 out. We had 2 leadoff doubles. Didn't get any of them in.
Can you speak to Suppan's performance today, what you saw him going out?
He pitched well. Mixed his pitches, threw strikes. We hit some balls hard off of him. But we were finding some gloves.
Rich Hill.
Hill, look, the guy's human. He wasn't as sharp as he's been, but he still kept us in the ball game.
Your experience, just try to ride this out with that lineup, keep that lineup stable, and just.
We're going to stay. We're going to stay as constant as we can. You're not going to see big changes. We might have a little one here, a little one there, but that's it. We're going to stay as constant as we can with it.
Well, it seems like other than a game or two, you just haven't had clutch hitting, especially late. Is that a coincidence, or is there something going on there, pressing?
I wish I knew. I really do. We're better than this. It's hard for us to score runs consistently. Once in a while we have a good game where we put some nice runs on the board and you think to yourself, well, here we come. And then we sort of revert back. One of these days we'll break the barn door down and get going.
How strange is it, 20 games in the season, Lee, Ceremonial, and Jones don't have a home run? Would you believe that?
Well, I don't. That's hard. That's hard for me to believe. We played an outfield today without a home run. That's hard. That's hard. Yeah, it really is. But look, I mean, these guys are proven hitters, so we just got to be patient. It'll come. Lee drove one really well today to the center field wall. But yeah, it's believe me, I'm aware.
Do you think it's still a little too early in the year to be concerned of letting Milwaukee get away too far just to start?
Listen, forget Milwaukee. Let's worry about ourselves. Milwaukee can worry about themselves, you know?
Is it tough now with the numbers that you probably have to play a month of really hot baseball just to get back to 500?
Well, a little win streak doesn't take a month, does it? That's what we're looking for, is a little win streak.
Well, one change in the lineup. Ryan Terrio is going to start at short and be the leadoff hitter. And with the iffy weather today, Alfonso Soriano, still coming off that hamstring injury, is out of the lineup. Well, when we come back, we'll chat with Mike Quade, Cubs third base coach. Jim Hendry trying to get a weather update. It's raining at Wrigley, but we hope to have baseball very soon.
On the next Scrubs.
Oh, that's so sweet. You just put them next to Sean's.
Yeah. JD, is this regular? I asked you to order me a diet.
A jealous JD.
That is diet. Just keep putting on weight.
It's all the regular soda, Sean.
Is about to get a lesson.
It's okay. They didn't see you.
In the birds and the...
What the?
Next Scrubs. Tonight at 11:30 Eastern.
Have you enjoyed a Budweiser lately? Because I can only describe the smoothness you'll get from Beechwood aging. I can only tell you about the choicest hops. But if you really want to understand what makes Budweiser the king of beers, you have to taste it. Just taste it. The perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser. Open up a world of taste.
Switch to Valvoline's Max Life, and there's no telling how long your car will keep going. Max Life not only protects against friction, but also leaks, deposits, and sludge, the 4 major causes of high-mileage engine breakdown. Long live your car.
Spike! Who's counting on your brakes today? Come to Midas and get brake pads or shoes for just $89.95 per axle installed. Be safe.
Just a Midas touch.
John Goodman. Is everybody having a good time? Is King Ralph. Good golly, Miss Molly. Where did they find this man? John Goodman. He's uncouth. He's unkempt. He's the king. King Ralph.
Sunday at 3 on Superstation WGN.
Well, we had some rain last night, but no delays during that 4-1 Milwaukee win in Game 2. And we will be under a rain delay before we get started. Ted Lilly went out to the bullpen mound, but then was told you might want to head back into the clubhouse and get warm. Well, the Cubs off to a disappointing start, but it's still early. They've played 20 games. They've dropped 13 of those 20. You have a lot of new coaches on this staff, along with Lou Piniella. And one of those guys is from the area. Born in Evanston, went to Prospect High School. Mike Quade, a longtime manager in the minor leagues. And this is his second stint as a coach in the big leagues. A few years ago, he was with the Oakland Athletics. And a little bit earlier, I had a chance to sit down with Q, Mike Quade. Well, Mike, back in the big leagues, how does it feel to be with your hometown Cubs?
Oh, man. You know, I've been asked that a million times, and I mean, it's got to start with getting back to the big leagues and being a part of this thing here. And, you know, and coaching third's a little different than coaching first, so that was huge as far as I was concerned. And then being a part of a Lou Piniella staff, which is another challenge that's been great. And then you add the fact that it's home for me, and I have friends and family here that get a chance to see me play on a regular or see me perform on a regular basis. So it's been something special, and you know, even in spite of a slow start, you know, things are going to get better, and I'm enjoying it.
We've heard so much about Felix P.A. We now get a chance to watch him pretty much on an everyday basis, and you had the opportunity to manage him at AAA. Tell us a little bit about him from your perspective.
Oh, Well, you've been around him, Len, enough. I mean, it doesn't take long. I mean, you see him in spring training, or if you happen to spend, a week with him here, infectious personality, just wonderful kid to be around, plays with a lot of enthusiasm. He's already made a difference defensively. I mean, it's fun to watch him play out there, and I think he made outfields better for me in Des Moines and everywhere else he's played, and I think he's done that here when he plays. And the remaining question is, how much can he contribute offensively and how soon? It's going to happen. We all believe that, and obviously we hope sooner than later. But he's a great kid, and you won't outwork him, and you won't have more fun than he does playing the game.
In spring training, he and Alfonso Soriano became very tight, and while I'm sure Alfonso, as a veteran, taught Felix some things, Felix might have taught Alfonso some things about playing center field.
No, and I thought that was a great pairing, and they played off each other. They worked hard. They pushed each other in our work, and that was a special relationship, because you could see a veteran maybe not taking to a younger player who was as accomplished in the outfield as Felix is, and that did not happen at all. I think that Felix was able to teach him some things defensively, and as good as Soria is offensively, you hope it rubs the other way and that he can help Felix a little bit at the plate. But it was a real nice situation for both of them, and I think, to be honest, their friendship is so good they'd love to be standing next to each other out there for a long time.
Big part of your job as the outfield instructor, and you've basically had to have guys be able to play every position out there. What sort of challenge has that been for you?
Well, it's a challenge for the guys. I mean, you make adjustments as a coach, but look, these guys got to play the game, and it's about them. And sending Cliff to right field the other day, handled it well. I think the thing that we're trying to do here is not make a big deal about it. Look, get your exposure in batting practice, play some left, play some right. Heck, go take some balls in center. You never know. You get into a late inning ball game. Merton was in center the other day, so you just don't know. But read balls off the bat from the various positions and don't make a big deal about it. And we're trying to do as good a job as we can to position guys and help. Hey, Cliff doesn't run like he used to. I had him as a young kid and he ran great. But if we can position guys, we can help them in that way. And then do the basic fundamental things. No matter where you're playing, hit the cutoff man and communicate and help each other out. And it's a good group from that standpoint. And actually, I've been okay with the way these guys have gone about their business in the outfield, at least to this point, no matter where they've played.
And as a third base coach, there's a lot of information you have to process before the play even occurs. And you and I have talked off the air about this quite a bit. How many outs, who the runner is, what the outfield arms are, what the score is. You have to figure all that out before the ball's put in play.
Yeah, and and it sounds like a lot, and empty head here, so it is a lot for me to consider. But who's on deck? I mean, it goes on, and also the personality of your manager and how he wants to play things. And Lou and I have talked about that, and there are a lot of decisions. I've, knock on wood, been very comfortable. Things went well this spring, and I got a better feel than I think I had in my brief stint here last year, and felt good about it. And I do think that the fact that I spend so much time with outfielders helps me as well, at least instinctively, because you tend to watch a ball get hit and watch a guy's approach to it and understand what's going to be a tough throw and what's not. And there are times when you send a guy when it looks probably to people like, oh my, but you see something subtly that happens, so it's going to make it a difficult throw for him on top of whatever his talent is to begin with. So it's a challenging spot. I like it. I intend to wave a lot more people home as the season goes on, and believe I will, and try and stay out of the way and not cause any problems at home.
Now it's Quade, but it's Quade. And you have a very interesting story about your first game with the Oakland A's at home. You were the first base coach with the A's, right? And the PA announcer got your name wrong, but it's got a very happy ending.
Yeah, no, it does. And opening day, my first day ever in the big leagues, and I don't pay that much attention, but I did hear it, and I kind of chuckled and thought. My family and my friends weren't chuckling. They were like, come on, you're kidding me. But I'm riding home after the game, and the PA announcer is the post-game guest after our game. And he came on, and the very first thing he did, which was amazing to me and was to his credit, was he said, I needed, he said, well, you're doing your 58th opening day, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, yeah, and I blew it. And he said, I need to make an apology to our first base coach right now and pronounce his name. And it's something small. But I don't know what else the guy's job is to get your name right. So he did a nice job with the apology, and they got it right the rest of the year. And that whole year, when I traveled around and they announced the coaches, they got it wrong in every city except here on the South Side when we went in to play the White Sox. So what's in a name? I'm just happy to be here.
Absolutely. And again, we come full circle back with a hometown team. You grew up a Cub fan, right? North side?
A little bit of a house divided. My mom was a Cub and my dad was a Cardinal, so it was an interesting deal. Not rabid like some of the rivalries you see around the country, but in college and in baseball. But I spent time here, and we spent some time. My dad's a Missouri guy in St. Louis as well. But to me, more importantly, I mean, a hotbed of baseball. St. Louis and Chicago, great baseball people in both cities, and a real nice place to grow up playing and learning the game.
All right, thanks to Cubs third base coach Mike Quade. Quade. I got it, Mike. When we come back, we'll preview this matchup. We will be under a rain delay here at Wrigley Field as the Cubs try to win one in this series against Milwaukee.
No matter what the label looks like, no matter how you say it, one beer is the perfect choice at any corner bar in any corner of the world. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser. Open up a world of taste.
Great news! Now there's a sale that's good for you and the environment. It's the laundry trade-in sale at Sears. Start saving money and energy today. When you trade in your old washer, we'll give you $100 off any high-efficiency washer, like the Kenmore HE5T, the Oasis, or the Whirlpool Cabrio. If you trade in your old dryer too, we'll give you an extra $75 off the matching dryer. Then save some of your own energy. We'll haul away your old machine and deliver your new one free after mail-in rebate. Now through Friday, Sears.
How do we do the soup, salad, and breadsticks lunch at Olive Garden? Carol serves the salad, the breadsticks in the middle, and the soups as different as we are.
Our unlimited fresh salad, homemade soup, and warm breadsticks lunch, just $5.95, only at Olive Garden.
Some guys like to relax in a leather recliner. But to others, there's nothing better than cardboard on concrete. Valvoline, 100 years under the hood.
Life as a teenager has never been more exciting, and Superstation WGN is joining in on the fun.
I am so there!
Lizzie McGuire celebrates life as a teenager, where anything and everything could go wrong. But with the help of her family and friends, everything will be all right.
Yeah, right.
It's where school, cool, and exciting adventures are just around the corner.
1 out of 3 isn't so bad.
Get inside her head. Lizzie McGuire. Weekday afternoons on Superstation WGN.
The rain is coming down, not very hard, but you normally don't start a ball game when it's raining at all, and we might see some scattered showers later, so we'll get comfortable here at Wrigley Field. It'll be the finale of this series and the homestand. An off day tomorrow for the Cubs, and then they start a road trip in St. Louis on Friday. It'll be a 6-game trip in St. Louis and Pittsburgh. When we do get started today, a very interesting pitching matchup on the mound is Ben Sheets, a .500 pitcher in his career against the Cubs. He's 1-2 this year. He comes in with a 5 earned run average. Ted Lilly, on the other hand, also 1-2, but a stellar 2.42 ERA. So he's been the Cubs' tough luck starter early on in the season. So Ben Sheets and Ted Lilly today, and just got to get something going here at home. And, you know, the Cubs have had a lot of chances. 13 of 15 at home. They're actually .500 on the road. But today would be a nice day to start a winning streak. Bob Brenly will join me when we come back. Brewers and the Cubs coming up from Wrigley.
The Leadoff Man has been brought to you by Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs.
Now it's easy to sell your home fast with the No Commission Company. ForSaleByOwner.com.
We sold our home in 3 weeks.
I had no idea it could be that easy. It really was.
We've helped thousands of people save millions of dollars. We give you lawn signs and a step-by-step guide. We even have advisors on call to answer any questions. Visit ForSaleByOwner.com now at ForSaleByOwner.com. ForSaleByOwner.com. No commission, lots of help.
Come spring and summer, our yard is our family room. We sleep in there, but we definitely live out here.
I really just like the feeling of the grass.
We like a healthy lawn, and it's got to be durable, and our lawn really is both.
A healthy lawn means that we can get out there, feel comfortable in the grass.
We use Scott's Turf Builder Plus 2. It feeds the lawn, and it kills dandelions.
We hate dandelions. We don't like to have them around.
I got some good old-fashioned grass stains on my pants. That's a sign of a good day. We had a lot of fun. I want to do it again tomorrow. That's our Scott's lawn.
Hey, Cubs fans, keep your eye on the ball. Every time a Cubs player hits a homer at Wrigley, you could be a winner. It's the Southwest Airlines How Far Did It Fly Home Run Contest. After every Cubs homer, write down the distance along with your name and address and send it to WGN TV. 10 winners will receive 2 round-trip tickets to any Southwest Airlines destination. For every Cubs homer, ask yourself, how far did it fly? From Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the Chicago Cubs.
Because Geico sounds like gecko. That's it. That's the only reason I'm here. The fact is, if Geico sounded like some other animal, like, I don't know, a puma, sure enough, there'd be some adorable little cat sitting here talking about Geico's low rates.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
You can't even imagine the pressure. I mean, I've literally got like 2 seconds to capture your attention while simultaneously informing you that you could save hundreds on car insurance by switching to Geico. Quite frankly, I don't think it's even possible.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Becker's got a new friend. My Lord! Next, Becker.
Tonight at 9 Eastern. The following is a presentation of WGN Sports.
Well, don't stand too close to the curb on Clark and Addison on a day like this, or you're going to end up very, very wet. It has been raining really since last night. Not raining very hard, but we will begin under a rain delay today. When we get started, it'll be the Cubs looking to salvage a finale of this 3-game series after dropping the first 2 against the Milwaukee Brewers. And welcome to Cubs baseball here on WGN. Bob Brenly and Len Casper, we're bundled up. It's cool. Good day to pitch. We've said that a lot at home here in April. Cubs need to get something going, and a good way to do that is to stop Prince Fielder.
Yeah, they need to get something going like Prince Fielder has going. This guy has been unbelievable. Hit 28 home runs last year, his first full year in the major leagues, and has really continued that trend here at Wrigley Field. Home run against Scott Air in the first game of the series to straightaway center field. Later against Rocky Cherry in the 12th inning. Tucked one in the basket in right field. And then last night against Rich Hill, one of the few mistakes Rich Hill made early in that ball game, and Fielder hit one through a very stiff breeze into the bleachers in right field.
So 3 home runs in the series, 2 have been game winners, and he loves hitting at Wrigley.
I think this guy's going to love hitting at all the ballparks in the major leagues. We talked about it on the air last night with the 2-strike approach that he has, his ability to hit off-speed pitches, and the ability to be quick enough to hit fastballs. I think this guy's going to be challenging for some home run titles.
Bob, a lot of people are trying to figure out why the Cubs have struggled so much at home. I think it's just general inconsistency, a team that has not been over 500 the last couple of years, but is there anything to it?
You know, it's hard to figure, Len, because coming into Wrigley Field as a visiting player or coach or manager, we always felt this was a very tough place to come and play. The fans are right on top of you. It certainly should be a huge home field advantage, but the numbers wouldn't bear that out over the last number of years, especially the last 3 years. You even look back to the 03 and 04 seasons when the Cubs were over 500 at home. You would expect those numbers to be even higher over 500. I can't put my finger on the reason, but certainly that's a trend that's going to have to be reversed.
The other trend that needs to reverse itself is the Cubs need to score for Ted Lilly, because he's done a really good job on the mound but is under 500.
I don't know how you can pitch much better than Ted Lilly has up to this point. I'm a little, I can't say surprised. I was just unfamiliar with Ted Lilly from his days in the American League, but he's a guy that has come in here and just pitched lights out. All 4 pitches for strikes, both sides of the plate. He gets ahead in the count. He's very aggressive. Unfortunately, every year there seems to be one starting pitcher on your staff that just does not get the run support necessary to win.
It's been a struggle for Ben Sheets after a complete game performance as he won on opening day.
Well, the Ben Sheets should be a good matchup for this Cubs offense. Weather notwithstanding, Ben Sheets is a guy that likes his fastball. He likes to challenge hitters. He's very aggressive.
Well, we don't know when we're going to get started. It's not raining very hard, but again, you very rarely see games start when there's any sort of drizzle at all. So the starting pitchers were thinking about getting ready, but the Cubs told them, you know what, you might as well wait a little bit because it continues to fall. And a very windy day once again here from Wrigley. We'll talk more about this matchup and have our rain delay coverage coming up.
Next 24, the country wants war.
Nuclear bomb was detonated on U.S. soil.
Only Jack believes an incriminating tape is counterfeit.
What if Jack Bauer's right?
If he's wrong.
Now, the president makes a decision.
Calling off the attack.
That sets off a chain of events which could cost Jack his life.
You know he won't be easy to break.
Everybody has a breaking point, even you.
Next 24, Saturday at 11:30 on Superstation WGN.
This new fridge has a touchscreen. I get internet, TV. The coolest part of it is when it's out of Bud Light, it refills itself.
How does it do that?
I don't know.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
I don't know how it does it, and I don't care.
With 2 million vehicle listings to choose from on Cars.com, you can find the right car for you.
Blue is?
Find the right car for you. Cars.com.
On the next Scrubs.
Oh, that's so sweet. You just put them next to Sean's.
Yeah.
Hey, JD, is this regular? I asked you to order me a diet.
A jealous JD.
That is diet. I just keep putting on weight.
Is about to get arrested in The Birds and the... Next Scrubs. Tonight at 11:30 Eastern. Take a closer look at the award-winning series, Da Vinci's Inquest, weekdays on Superstation WGN.
Chicago Cubs baseball. Brought to you by refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it. Your Chicagoland Dodge dealers. The Illinois Lottery. No matter how you play the Illinois Lottery. Have a ball. By Pepsi. Your world, your Pepsi. And by Southwest Airlines. Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, Southwest can get you there with over 3,000 nonstop daily flights to over 60 destinations. Visit southwest.com today.
The start of Game 3 delayed by rain. And a lot of people here, and they have the umbrellas and the parkas on. It is cool, but we hope to have baseball very soon as the Cubs host the Milwaukee Brewers. And you go back to opening day and check out the Cubs lineup. One thing Lou Piniella has not been shy about, and that is mixing things up. He had Merton in left, Soriano in center, Jock Jones in right. Ramirez is Torres, DeRosa, Lee on the infield, Barrett, and of course the opening day starter Carlos Zambrano. But as you look to today, some interesting changes. Alfonso Soriano, of course, has gone back to left. Felix Pie in center. And Bob, Ryan Theriot is going to get a shot at short.
Yeah, Lou speculated that perhaps Theriot would get a shot at shortstop. He's been taking ground balls at that position, and you can't dispute the fact that when Ryan Theriot was in the lineup, he tends to make good things happen. You call him a spark plug, call him whatever you want, but Theriot seems to be in the middle of everything good that's happened in the early part of this season.
And with more in the lineup and other things going on with the Cubs, our good friend Bruce Miles, who covers the Cubs on a daily basis for the Daily Herald. Bruce, again, Lou mixes things up. He has talked about getting a set lineup, and another little tweak today.
Yeah, last night he used the word constant. He wanted a constant lineup, and of course today with the weather, he didn't want Alfonso Soriano to chance it, so he talked about keeping him out today. But Ryan Theriot, very interesting choice at shortstop. During spring training, Lou said that he thought that Ryan's best position was on the right side of the infield. But I think now, the way the offense has been going, and like Bob mentioned a second ago, Theriot seems to spark things when he's in there. I think Lou is grasping for some things and putting Theriot in at shortstop, and today letting him lead off in the early lineup may be a way to get that going.
And that's a good point. If the other guys were hitting and doing their jobs, Torres is a guy you just bat him eighth and let him do his thing defensively, but you really need that spark plug here in the order.
You really do. The way things are going, the team is getting outscored here at Wrigley Field. We had a talk earlier with some of the guys and with Lou about getting out homered at Wrigley Field, but Derek Lee pointed out this morning in talking to him, you've just got to find a way to score runs, whether it's with home runs or driving in runners in scoring position, just some way to create some offense.
You know, Bruce, in your job as a beat writer, you get the opportunity to be around the ball club on a daily basis, in the clubhouse, on the field, and you know, certainly the club has struggled offensively. They haven't put up the kind of numbers they expected, especially after the performance down in Arizona for spring training. Do you sense any frustration, desperation, whatever term you want to use from the ball club?
Interesting question. I don't know about desperation, a little frustration. Talking with Cliff Floyd this morning, and the guys are disappointed and they're getting eat up inside a little bit about this. The balancing act that you have to go through is not to press so hard that you try to do more than you're capable of doing, and it becomes kind of a vicious circle there. So yeah, the guys are a little bit, I'd say frustrated at this point. I wouldn't use the word desperation, but they're getting a little bit worried that things aren't happening and they aren't making those things happen.
And I think perhaps the reason that it hasn't reached a desperate point is because all these guys have a track record. They're very experienced players. They've had good careers, and they expect at some point in the season they'll pick it up, and their numbers at the end of the season will be what you expect.
Exactly. The fear is you don't want to dig too deep a hole here in April where you've got to play catch up all year long. But you look around the diamond, you know, Derek Lee, Aramis Ramirez, Alfonso Soriano, especially when that leg gets to be 100%. Cliff Floyd, who's done reasonably well this year. Michael Barrett is the top hitting catcher of the National League. So you're right, the track records are there. It's just a matter of those guys getting untracked, so to speak.
And you talk about chemistry and an identity. Is this team still kind of searching for those things?
I think so, and Lou is kind of pushing and prodding and trying to push all the buttons. You're not sure quite what kind of a team it's going to be. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. Is it going to be the home run hitting team? Will they create a lot of runs different ways with Soriano at the top of the lineup and getting on base? So yeah, I think that's a fair question, especially since you've had this infusion of a lot of new guys into the lineup.
And we just saw the standings. Milwaukee right now leading this division. I think top to bottom it's going to be a very competitive division. You may not have the most elite team in the league out of the Central, but on paper and really what we've seen early on is that there aren't going to be any easy series for the Cubs.
No, there certainly aren't, and you don't have to have the most elite team in your division to win the World Series, as the St. Louis Cardinals certainly proved last year. What you want to do, I think, is stay close to the pack here until you get your lineup straightened out, you get your position straightened out, and then be able to strike as the weather warms up here. So that's, I think, going to be the important thing. But like you said, Len, it's a very competitive division top to bottom.
You know, I think it was your column this morning, Bruce. You talked about Lou talking about the Cubby swagger and referred to it as the Cubby stagger so far this season. You look in the other dugout, however, and the Milwaukee Brewers with a very young ball club off to a good start. I think the swagger has to come when you start winning some ball games.
That's absolutely right. Lou kind of coined that term in the early days of spring training, along about February 14th or 15th down in Mesa, and he said that you just don't walk out there with that swagger. You've got to develop that from winning, from creating winning habits, and that's what you're seeing on the other side of the field with the Brewers. They've got a lot of confidence going right now, like you said, a lot of young players, and that can carry you for a while.
What's it been like covering Lou Piniella? He's a unique manager, to say the least, and he's been pretty upfront about a lot of things.
He really has. The one thing you know you're going to get from Lou is honesty every day, whether you want to hear it, whether the players want to hear it, whether the public wants to hear it. He says what's on his mind. Very, very interesting guy to cover. Very passionate is what I found, and very, very knowledgeable about the game of baseball. He can talk in a lot of terms that all point to the end result of getting wins, creating runs, not wasting out. So whether you're into the newfangled kind of sabermetric thinking or not, Lou's ends and means are all pointing in the right direction, but just a fascinating guy and really a lot of fun to be around.
Of course, we have to mention Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood. Wood with severe tendonitis in his shoulder, and Mark Pryor had surgery yesterday, and we're kind of waiting on that update on how things went.
Still waiting to hear on that, and it's a real shame because these two guys were the anchor, as everybody knows, of the pitching staff just a couple of years ago. This year, General Manager Jim Hendry went out and purposefully built the rotation and the pitching staff, not counting on those two guys, but as human beings and as pitchers with a lot of talent, it's a shame to see, and you really do hope for their sakes that they do come back and come back soon.
Let's get back to the offensive side of the game. You know I like to talk about offense, Bruce. Felix P.A. Getting a taste of the big leagues his first go-round. There was some speculation that maybe he would get sent back to the minor leagues because the bat hasn't quite been there yet. What have you seen so far from Felix?
A lot of enthusiasm, a tremendous defensive ability out there, and it's going to take some adjustment, as we all know, to hit major league pitching. He got off to a good start in AAA Iowa, which I think was a good thing for him because he was telling the Cubs, look, I might be ready. So I think it's going to be a period of adjustment, but the young man has a world of ability, and I think it'll just be a matter of time. And Lou has not been shy about putting him out there. He's mixed him around the order a little bit, but I think you're going to see a lot of him before they have to make another roster decision.
You know, and one of the big questions with this Cubs ball club was the outfield defense going into the season, and certainly when PA is out there in center field, that defense improves considerably.
Well, he can go get him. I remember watching him in February and Mesa on some of those big outfields, even during practice. You wonder, nobody can get that ball. Well, he went and got it, and we were talking to Lou this morning about the outfield defense. They came under a lot of criticism, a lot of skepticism. The outfield defense hasn't really hurt them. They've played real well. You saw Jack Jones make a real nice catch out there the other day, a real nice throw to third base. So that's one area that's maybe a pleasant surprise for them.
Guys, there's been a lot of talk about how do you win at Wrigley Field. It's almost become like Coors Field. Like, how do you figure out this ballpark? Well, it's been around for a long time. Only Fenway Park has been around longer. Do you need a versatile lineup like Lou Piniella talked about? Do you just need a big slugging lineup? What's your thought on it, Bruce? You've been watching baseball here for a long time.
It's really a puzzling thing, isn't it, guys? Why a team can't take advantage of its home ballpark, and they really should be able to. I think you need to hit the ball here with power, but I think you've got to get on base at the top and create runs any way you can. Most of the time this year the wind is blowing in. It's not been conducive to hitting, even though the Brewers hit some against the wind the other night. But I think you've got to stick with what you do best. I think the guys here in the lineup are certainly capable of doing that, and I think that once everybody gets a comfort level, we'll see that. But I think you've just got to do it. You've got to grind it out right now, but I think it's the old tried and true theory. Get on base and knock them in. It sounds simple, but I think that's what they've got to do.
And Bob, do you think that you get to a point where we ask the players about Wrigley Field, they hear about it every day? Is there a point where they just almost rather not talk about it and just go out and play?
Absolutely. You'd rather not try to figure things out. You know, we talked about it last night with a hitter who's in a hot streak. You don't want to talk about why you're doing well. You don't want to think about why you're doing well. You just want to go do it. And the same thing goes when you're struggling. You don't want to analyze it too much. You just want it to change. Now, on a day like today here at Wrigley Field, and we talked about this earlier, it's a huge disadvantage here at Wrigley as opposed to a lot of the newer ballparks where they have multiple batting cages right off the clubhouse. Pitchers can get their throwing in, you can get your running in, you can get batting practice, modern updated weight rooms, and Wrigley Field it just isn't conducive for getting prepared for a game on a day like this.
No, and that's what I think. Part of the reason Lou held a little team meeting the other night after the game, and he told his players to go relax and play, and Derek said that again this morning. Derek Lee, that's all they have to do. Just go out and play winning baseball. Relax, let your ability take over, and I think that's the key. And there was a method to what Lou did the other night, and I think that's it.
Bruce, before we let you go, we've seen now against the Cubs every team in this division except for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who we'll see on the next road trip. What team stands out to you at this point?
Well, this one does right here, the Milwaukee Brewers. A lot of enthusiasm, a great young manager in Ned Yost, and some great players that they've been able to draft from, albeit their low finishes over the recent years, but they've come up, they've brought them up the right way, and so I think this team will be a team to be reckoned with all year long, the Brewers.
Bruce, thanks so much for the time. We always appreciate it. We enjoy reading your stuff, and stay dry today, okay?
Yeah, we got some sea spray coming in the booth here, so I'll try to do that.
That's Bruce Miles from the Daily Herald, and we're going to get a weather update from the WGN Weather Center. It's meteorologist Tom Skilling. Hello, Tom.
Well, hello, and from the WGN Weather Center, obviously the question is, are we going to get this rain out of here? We've had about 1 to 3 inches of rain across the area, and it's still sprinkling in the area. But I'll tell you what, Len, we can go to the radar right here, and I'll show you precisely what we've got going on, because I think there's reason for some optimism here. Now, look, it's not going to be perfectly dry all afternoon, but let me blow this up and get right down there on Wrigley Field. We can even lay in the highways right here, and Wrigley would sit right about, well, you can see it right just north of the Congress and the Eisenhower Expressway. Now, watch as we animate through the last couple of minutes. You know, the radar returns right there are the rains that seem to be departing the area here, and we think that this rain is going to be pulling out. We're starting at this loop back couple hours. We're rotating through the rains that have come through this morning, and it looks like the back edge of that rain is right over Wrigley right now. Now, the problem is we got about 100% humidity. The winds are off the lake. It's about 47 degrees, and in that environment, you can get little sprinkles or a little bit of rain to go from time to time, but this doesn't look like the kind of rain that would cause some real problems for the game. So we remain optimistic here in the Weather Center. It's not the most beautiful day, but we remain optimistic that perhaps we'll get this game in here, Len and Bob. That's for now from the Weather Center. It's 47 degrees. We've got a northeast wind blowing right in to Wrigley from center field at about 16 miles an hour. We've had some gusts of 20 or 25 miles an hour. So kind of a blustery day out there at the ballpark, to be sure. But it would appear from radar like the steady organized rain is slowly pulling out of the area. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that we get that game in. And we'll be happy to update this as the afternoon wears on here if we have to. Len, back to you at the ballpark.
Tom, thank you very much. We look forward to that W flag flying high above the scoreboard a little bit later on today. That's Tom Skilling. Thanks for the weather update. We'll have more rain delay coverage from Wrigley Field.
Who's counting on your brakes today? Come to Midas and get brake pads or shoes for just $89.95 per axle installed. Be safe.
Just a Midas touch.
Switch to Valvoline's Max Life, and there's no telling how long your car will keep going. Max Life not only protects against friction, but also leaks, deposits, and sludge, the 4 major causes of high-mileage engine breakdown. Long live your car.
Just because I'm a foster kid doesn't mean I'm a lost cause.
I have the potential for greatness.
Some people have an attitude about me because my parents have problems.
I wish you could see me for who I am.
Don't be afraid of me.
And don't feel bad for me.
Just care what happens to us.
Dame una oportunidad.
If you can't be a foster parent, find another way to help foster children thrive.
Do something to help me make it.
Help make foster care better.
Just do something.
Don't write me off.
Don't write me off. Don't write me off.
Foster kids are our kids. This message brought to you by WGN TV and the Illinois Foster Care Agency in your community.
Welcome back live to Wrigley Field. The rain is falling again, not very hard, but have to wait for the rain to stop for a good half hour before we get going. Tarp is on the field. The lights are on, and we're getting set for Game 3 as the Cubs will host the Milwaukee Brewers. Always great to have with us Oneri Fleta, the Cubs Director of Player Development and Latin American Operations, and it's just good to get you while you're in town. I know you travel so much all around the world. We have to talk about number 20, Felix P.A. We said it last week. You probably feel like a proud father to see Felix be in the big leagues.
Yeah, Len, it's exciting when you see the young guys go through the system like he did and get a chance to go out there and walk around on the grass here at Wrigley Field. It's a special moment, but what really most special was Jose Serra. Jim Hendry had him flown in with Marino Encarnacion, and they were the guys responsible for signing him and bring him into our organization, so that was exciting.
Now, for you, when you see a kid from the very early stages of his pro career, you tell everybody he can do this, he can do that, and then you see little glimpses of it, maybe in spring training here or there. Then they get to this level during the regular season. Are you nervous as you watch guys like this, or do you just say, he's going to be fine, no problem?
I'd be lying if I told you. I probably wasn't more nervous than the players. Yeah, you want to see them come up here and play well, but, you know, our staff, Dave Bialis, and all our coaches in the minor leagues, they're their biggest fans, and they're also their biggest critics. And you want to see these guys come up here and play well. You know, this is the only way we can help the club. You know, we can't play anymore. I tell guys all the time, we can't play anymore, but we can certainly help by passing on some knowledge. And we got a lot of good coaches with Ryne Sandberg and Jody Davis and the guys guys in the system. So that's a job, and that's kind of the highlight. That's our Super Bowl when guys get called to the big leagues.
You know, and Eric, talking about Jody Davis and Ryne Sandberg back in the organization as managers, what does that mean to the organization to bring back guys who have been successful, who have been stars on the field, and bring them back in the fold, so to speak, to teach the young players?
Well, I thought it was exciting. We added Mike Harkey and Bobby Denier, and you mentioned Jody Davis, and we've had Carmelo Martinez in the system, but to have guys that not only played in the big leagues, but played in Wrigley Field and know what it's like to go through the daily routine with the day games, and sometimes you got a little night game involved, and to give these guys an idea of what their routine should be like when they get here. I thought that was very vital, and hopefully it'll be something that'll pay off in the near future. You
know, as a director of player development, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. Do you compare your own organization with other organizations? And if so, what are some of the other organizations that you feel do a real good job developing their own players and getting them to the big leagues?
Well, Bob, I think that's when you're a competitor, you got to make sure that you're looking and trying to keep up with what everybody else is doing. And my buddy Keith Lippman over with the Oakland Athletics, you know, they've been doing a good job for a good long time. And we keep in touch, and you got to keep an eye on the Braves and the Minnesota Twins, and there's some of the clubs that have done a good job for a very long time. So, you know, I think that is our job, to kind of keep up with whatever the new trends are in the game.
Well, we've seen Ryan Theriot, Rocky Cherry is here, Matt Merton, who was acquired from Boston, but you almost consider him really a guy who was produced by the Cubs because you got him as a minor league player, and the Cubs are now starting to produce some big leaguers and some guys who can play on an everyday basis. Yeah, we're starting to see more and more guys come from the farm system, but you know, I tell guys all the time, it's all about winning. And we need to see guys come up here now and start producing and see the results in the left column, which is the W's. So I don't think we're far away from that. We've got great leadership with Lou Piniella. His relationship with our minor league staff has been off the charts, and hopefully we'll start seeing that in real time. You hate to start saying it's too early because, you know, these games count at the end. But I'm glad to see these guys out here getting a chance to play and develop, and let's start winning some games.
Yeah, we've seen a couple guys already come up from the minor leagues this year and start to make contributions to the big club. Looking down the road a little bit, and hopefully it won't be because of an injury, but who are some other guys that fans can look forward to maybe making their debut this year?
Well, you know, you've seen Marshall in the past. He's going to make his debut tonight in Daytona, and hopefully we can get him healthy, and he'll make his next start up in Iowa with the Iowa Cubs. And Angel Guzman will throw again. These are some guys you've heard about, and Carlos Marmol, they've been playing. But not far away, the Sean Gallagher, I'm sorry. You saw him in spring training this year, as well as Tyler Colvin, who's off to a great start down in Daytona Beach. And you know, there's a number of guys that have gotten off good. We've played pretty well. You know, we're playing 500 everywhere in the minor leagues, and that's kind of nice to get started that way. We had to deal with some serious weather here in Peoria early on, like everybody else has. But, you know, I think as the season goes on, we'll start to see more and more guys surface.
Yeah, for obvious reasons, Cub fans always interested in what's going on with Jeff Samardzija. How's he doing so far this year?
Well, I finally can spell his last name. But he's had some good starts. I saw his first start in Daytona early in the year, and he's got a great sinker. And all he's got to do, like most pitchers, is be able to command the next two pitches. And right now he hadn't been challenged to have to throw them, but we're going to force him to throw a few more change-ups and some breaking balls. And he's off to a good start. Randy Bush was down in Daytona the last couple of days. Our assistant general manager, he had a chance to see him. So, you know, the needles are all pointing in the right direction, and he's making a lot of progress.
One guy that we were impressed by in spring training, Micah Hoffpower, who showed very good power with the bat left-handed, also pretty good defensive first baseman. We've seen him play a little bit in the outfield, and in your position, you look at Derek Lee hopefully being here for a long time at first base. How much does that weigh in what you want a guy to do as far as his defense? If Hoffpower is going to get to the big leagues, pretty good chance it's not going to be as a first baseman here the next few years.
Well, I came up with the Baltimore Orioles, and years ago, if you were a shortstop, you better learn another position. And then it wasn't shortly, 7 years later, I joined the Cubs, and Mark Grace was over there just like you see Derek Lee. So it is a big part of our job to make sure that players get a chance to play a variety of positions. You saw Ronnie Cedeno got a little dose of second base, and Ryan Theriot is a guy who played a lot of positions in the minor leagues, and that's kind of the thinking. And we're going to do the same thing with Micah. Micah is versatile enough to play some left and right field, and you know, when you can hit, we got to find a place for you, and we got to find a position for you. So that's kind of our task, to try to make sure we find the right position for these guys.
Now, when you sign guys, and some guys not even from this country, They watch the Cubs on WGN, don't they? I remember talking last year to Roberto Novoa, and in the Dominican Republic, they're watching Cubs baseball on WGN. It must be a nice selling point for the Chicago Cubs as they go out and sign guys.
Well, this is my 11th season running around through Latin America, and I can tell you WGN was probably the biggest tool I had, because when I showed up, everyone knew the Cubs, everyone knew WGN, and that really opened a lot of doors for us. And I would, you know, I say this freely, I think most of the players in Latin America, they're Cub fans, and it's because of WGN.
Well, that's great to hear. And Oneri, what do you have coming up as far as your travel schedule?
Well, actually, next Wednesday I will be in Venezuela. We have tryouts all week for 3 or 4 days, and then the following Sunday I'm going to go to the Dominican. This time of year we're looking at guys that we can sign for on July 2nd, and these are guys that you would sign to a 2008 contract. So our guys have been out there scouting and trying to round up the guys all throughout the Caribbean, into Colombia and Nicaragua. We've kind of expanded the operation quite a bit, and so I'm going to try to nip off some of those travels, and then we'll get back into minor leagues and see some more games. So every day you're seeing baseball is a good day.
You know, it's always been said, it's often been said, rather, that scouting is a very inexact science when you're looking at college players or high school players, but I have to believe that's especially the case when you're scouting Latin America, because so many young players, maybe they don't have the same kind of equipment available, the fields aren't quite the same. It has to be a little tougher to use your eyes and evaluate what you see out there on the field because of the obvious disadvantages that they're playing under.
Well, I always say it's better to be lucky than good. And, you know, when you're trying to see a guy that's probably the equivalent of an age of a freshman or a sophomore in our high school and determine that he's going to be a major league player, I really think you're trying to be a lot luckier than good. So it isn't easy, but, you know, we've been lucky. We've tried to take good-looking athletes with good arms. A guy like Carlos Marmol, for example, was a catcher. And we knew down the road if it didn't work out, maybe he might pitch. And we've tried that with a long list of guys, and you try to get a short list. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been probably the most challenging thing I've done in my career.
Oneri, thanks so much for the time. We always appreciate it. Safe travels, and we always like the updates very much.
Thanks, Len. Thanks, Bob.
That's Oneri Flita, Cubs Director of Player Development and Latin American Operations. We're in a rain delay. We'll have an update on Mark Pryor when we come back.
No matter what the label looks like, no matter how you say it, one beer is the perfect choice at any corner bar in any corner of the world. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser. Open up a world of taste.
Do you have a dinosaur?
No.
Do you have the space shuttle?
No.
What do you have?
Well, we have a display of the local gopher in his natural habitat.
That's not a gopher.
Yeah, it is.
Take them to a place that has it all. Fly one of Southwest Airlines 15 daily nonstops from Chicago Midway to Baltimore, Washington, or Washington Dulles International for just $59 one way. Purchased by May 17th.
You are now free to move about the country.
Back live at Wrigley Field under a rain delay before the first pitch. Paul Rathje. And on the right, Roger Baird as they walk the outfield. It is still raining, and we're hoping to get Game 3 underway between the Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers. Well, the Cubs this afternoon issued the following update on Mark Pryor. Yesterday, he underwent successful right shoulder arthroscopy performed by Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham, Alabama. During the procedure, Dr. Andrews performed a debridement of Mark's right rotator cuff, as well as repair of the labral and capsular injuries in his right shoulder. So Mark today begins a comprehensive rehab program in Birmingham, overseen by Dr. Andrews and the Cubs medical staff. Pryor will not pitch in 2007. He'll continue his rehab into the offseason. So They obviously found some stuff in his shoulder. They took care of it. That's the good news. The bad news is Mark Pryor will not pitch at all in 2007. Well, we talked about Ryne Sandberg a little earlier. He's back in the organization, and he's managing at Class A Peoria in the Midwest League. He and his wife Margaret have remained busy. They are a part of Rhino Kid Care, a program built to help sick children and their families. Let's hear more about that program.
We were told about it and we were impressed. Ryne and I actually went to the hospitals and saw how it worked and really knew that it was a good thing, and Ryne gave them their name.
I was fortunate about 6 months ago to meet Margaret and to bring her into the hospital and to show her the services we do. So she was a shadow of us while we were going to a couple different hospitals, and she witnessed the assistance we were providing to kids and to parents, and really seemed to get a feel for what we do, and to feel also and empathize with the parents and the kids that were struggling. And from there, we just kept on dialoguing and asked them if they really wanted to be a fixture in our program, because our program does great things. And with their support and with the recognition and the credibility that their name lends, and their energy and their integrity could just expand by leaps and bounds as far as the number of kids we can serve and the families we can help, and that's our overall goal.
We were looking to do something just to give back to the city of Chicago and help families and help kids, and so this was a tremendous opportunity, and we really feel heartfelt about it when we go and participate and just see what this organization does. So we're thrilled about the opportunity and about helping out, and we just wanted to grow and reach out to as many people who are in need as possible.
They're constantly providing ideas, and you know, they are in the hospitals regularly, and they are talking to families, and they are communicating with us regularly as far as different thoughts and ideas of ways to reach out to families.
There's a lot of needs that these families do need, and it's not only the meals, but also there's one hospital that has a house close by that is part of this program, where they can actually go and spend a night there and be just a block away and feel comfortable about that, just to get a night away. And we've been able to witness that in action, and we've seen this work, and it's a great thing to be a part of.
If you would like more information, go to rhinokidcare.org on the web. We'll have more from Wrigley Field. We're in a rain delay as we get set for Game 3 of this series. The Cubs hosting the Milwaukee Brewers.
Separated from their family.
Not much further now.
3 extraordinary pets.
I'm going home.
Make a remarkable journey on dangerous terrain to find their way home. Michael J. Fox.
I hate fast food.
Sally Field.
Cats rule and dogs drool.
And Don Amici.
I'm keeping my eye on you, pup.
Bring their personalities to life in this heartwarming family tale. Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. Sunday at 1 on Superstation WGN.
Come spring and summer, our yard is our family room. We sleep in there, but we definitely live out here.
I really just like the feeling of the grass.
We like a healthy lawn, and it's got to be durable, and our lawn really is both.
A healthy lawn means that we can get out there, feel comfortable in the grass.
We use Scott's Turf Builder Plus 2. It feeds the lawn, and it kills dandelions.
We hate dandelions. We don't like to have them around.
I got some good old-fashioned grass stains on my pants. That's a sign of a good day. We had a lot of fun and want to do it again tomorrow. That's our Scott's lawn.
Weeknights are great nights to be home on Superstation WGN. First, let Tim the Toolman Taylor improve your mood with 2 laugh-filled episodes of Home Improvement. Then stay seated for America's funniest home videos, where comic clips and embarrassing slips are all caught on tape. Be sure to make it home weeknights for a full hour of home improvement at 6, followed by America's Funniest Home Videos at 7 on Superstation WGN. Your home for great comedy.
Well, the rain delay continues, but good news. We will get started in about a half hour. The scheduled first pitch is going to be 2:30. It's always kind of fun when they take the tarp off, the fans cheer. Then they put the tarp back on the infield because they have to dump the water off the tarp. Then everybody boos, and then they take it off again, and everybody gets excited. Well, this is the second takeoff of the tarp. And Bob, let's hope it remains off the rest of the day.
I thought you had a great analogy, Len. It's like that fake to third, throw to first pickoff move. The fans always boo when they see it, assuming it's a balk. And the grounds crew had a pretty good deke on the crowd here.
Hey, we gave a Mark Pryor update earlier, and we should just mention, he will not pitch here in 2007. We're not doctors, and there was a lot of medical terminology there, but they did find some stuff in there that's going to keep him out the rest of the season.
I think if you looked in any major league pitcher's shoulder, you're going to find some stuff in there, and certainly Mark knows his body better than anybody else. He felt that there was just something wrong in there that wasn't obvious in all the tests that had been run before, and the exploratory surgery found the problem, hopefully remedied the problem, and I'd like to see Mark Pryor back in a Cubs uniform at some point in the future.
Well, you're right, and you'd like to say next year, but as we both know, the shoulder injury can be very tricky, and while Mark has had some shoulder discomfort, now coming off surgery for the first time in his career, it doesn't put his entire career necessarily in doubt because he's still a very young guy, but as far as his future with the Cubs, we really don't know at this point.
You don't really know at this point, but in a roundabout way, this could be a good thing in the long run because it'll ease Mark's mind. He knows that whatever problem he had in that shoulder has been repaired. There will be a very specific rehab program that he will follow to strengthen the muscles that need to be strengthened in order for him to avoid this kind of problem in the future. So ideally, he comes back even better than before the surgery.
Well, we had some fun in the offseason. Right before the Cubs convention, the inaugural Len and Bob Bash, and we raised a lot of money for charity, for Chicago Cubs charities, for Project 3000, of course spearheaded by Derek Lee, and the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society as well. It was a sellout crowd. Ryan Adams headlined with his band, the Cardinals. The Red Walls from Chicago played, and they actually talked us into playing as well, and we had a good time, didn't we?
Oh, I tell you, it's about the most fun I've had that didn't involve winning a World Series or watching my children being born. It was just a wonderful evening, and for all the right reasons.
So I guess there are a few people actually want to see us perform. I'm not really sure about that. You might want to cover your ears, but let's get some highlights from the 2007 Len and Bob Bash. All right, we're ready to rock and roll. This is awesome. Welcome to the inaugural Len and Bob Bash here at the House of Blues, benefiting Chicago Cubs charities. Thank you for coming out. My name is Len Casper. This is Bob Brindley. We do the TV for the Chicago Cubs. We got some Cub fans in here. It's great to see, and you are in for a treat tonight. We are kicking off Cubs Convention weekend here, and it's going to be a great night of rock and roll. Would you give a huge Chicago welcome to Bud Light's Real Men of Genius, Pete Stacker and David Bickler. These guys are Chicago guys. Pete, good to see you.
Hey.
David, former lead singer of Survivor. All right. Thanks for coming out tonight, guys.
Let's give a round of applause to Len and Bob for putting this whole damn thing together. First, this sure beats golf. We're raising money, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, Pete and David, we're told that you guys worked up a little something tonight. Rumor has it that Bob and I are actually going to do a couple of quickies here, a couple quick tunes here.
Yeah, you're going to do some
That's
songs.
the rumor. So
some singing, so.
Have at it, guys. You guys are the best. Have at it.
Thank you. We are the Bud Light Real Men of Genius. Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real Men of Genius.
Today we salute the Len and Bob Bash and Cubs fans everywhere.
Len and Bob Bash and Cubs fans everywhere.
Way back, it's out of here. It's a great day for a ball game. Let's play two. And Piniella, spelled backwards, is in the name of Len and Bob. This year, the only curses we want to hear are from opposing pitchers in the showers.
It's out on Waveland Avenue.
Len and Bob played the game, play-by-play, play in the band. It's not the playing that worries us, it's the singing.
They're coming up next.
So crack open an ice cold Bud Light and find a warm blue sweater and jacket, because the Cubs will still be playing in October.
Len and Bob and Cubs way.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you. We've been waiting all night to be able to do that, so now we can go drink some Bud Light and enjoy some rock and roll.
Here's the deal. I'm going to be real honest about this. I had no intention of doing this. For those of you who wanted us to do a couple of tunes, it's your fault. For those of you who don't want us to, I apologize. If you brought earplugs, you might want to wear them the next 6 minutes. But help me sing along, because I think you guys will know these two tunes, all right?
Sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck at Folsom Prison. Time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a rolling on down to San Antone. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy. Play with guns, but I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry. Let's Well, I bet there's rich folks seated in a fancy dining car. They're probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free. But those people keep moving, and that's what tortures me. Prison, it's that railroad train was mine, I bet I'd move it on a little farther down the line. Far from Folsom Prison, that's where I want to stay. And I left that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. One more. You gotta help me on this one. I'm gonna raise a fuss, I'm gonna raise a holler. I'll work it all the summer just to try to earn a dollar. Well, I try to call my baby, I try to get a date. My boss said, "Don't die, son, you gotta work late." Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, 'cause there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. Oh, well, my mama and papa told me, son, you gotta make some money. If you wanna use a car to go around next Sunday. Well, I didn't go to work. I told the boss I was sick. Now you can't use a car 'cause you didn't work a lick. Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, 'cause there ain't no cure for the... Yeah! I'm gonna take 2 weeks, gonna have a fine vacation. I'm gonna take my problems to the United Nations. Well, I called my congressman, he said, quote, "I'd like to help you, son, but you're too young to vote." Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, but thank you for indulging us. Bob, Brentley, what a job. Thanks to the guys from Stall from Milwaukee, great power pop trio. Kelp, John and Andy, great job. How was it? Was it okay? We had fun with it. All right. We're going to give away a lot of money to charity tonight, and that's all because of you, and we really appreciate it. Let's please bring out from the Chicago Cubs, Mike Lafrano, Senior Vice President of Community Relations and General Counsel. This is what it's all about. Come on out, Mike. We have one of those big fancy checks. Thank you, Bob.
Don't forget about the concert, too.
Okay.
Derek's here.
Okay. Well, it reads $52,927 to Chicago Cubs charities, and it'll probably be more by the time the silent auction is done. Again, please check out the silent auction out back. Here you go, Mike.
This is tremendous. What a night. You know, on behalf of the Chicago Cubs and Chicago Cubs charities, it occurs to me this is is our first event of 2007, and what a great way to kick off what's a tremendous year. How about a big thank you to Bob Brenly and Len Casper and the band. I also want to make sure to thank people who put this night together. Bob Vorwald and WGN TV, our great partner. Michael Yerkes and Mary Claire in the House of Blues. Thank you all for coming out. And we wouldn't be here tonight without Jeff Schmidt and Bud Light. So a big thank you to Bud Light for tonight. But tonight wouldn't happen without you. And I'm proud to announce that this money and a portion of the proceeds from tonight's event will go to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and to Project 3000 to help fight a horrible disease that's affecting so many children. And on behalf of Project 3000 tonight, I want to introduce Cubs first baseman Derek Lee.
Hello. Len and Bob. I didn't like rock and roll until that last song. But I just want to say thanks a lot. This means a lot to us. And you guys who don't have your tickets for 07, go get them because I have a good feeling.
Thanks, Derek. Hey, everybody, it's Ryan Dempster. Cubs closer, what's up, Demp?
How's everyone doing tonight? I got a check. This is great. Oh, it's for you.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here at the House of Blues in Chicago. I gotta say, lad, you did a heck of an impersonation of that John Fogerty guy singing Folsom County Blues. That's great.
Thanks, Harry. Thanks, guys. All right, Ryan Adams is coming up with the Cardinals. It's the only night all year we're going to root for the Cardinals. Enjoy a couple of great hours of rock and roll. So that was it. And by the way, Ryan Adams and his band played for over 2.5 hours. It was a great night of rock and roll. And the best part about it is raising a lot of money for great charity.
That's a good thing. The best part about it for me was getting to be a rock and roll star for a little while. Man, was that fun.
Well, we got to rehearse actually in the basement up in Milwaukee at Andy's house, a great power pop band Stall, and that was a lot of fun as well. It was the first time you'd ever played guitar with other human beings.
Or standing up, for that matter. I didn't even have a strap for my guitar until the night before the concert, but, you know, many thanks to the guys from Stall for putting up with us and making us sound like we knew what we were doing.
And your wife, Joan, was very impressed, I know. Was she a little nervous about how it would go?
Yeah, you know, I think she was worried about potential groupies.
Well, hopefully we get to do it again, and we can't thank all the great fans out there, the rock and roll fans and the Cubs fans as well, and it's something that we would love to do on a yearly basis.
We'd love to do that every year, and maybe even get some of the players involved. A lot of guys like to play guitar in their off time, and maybe we could put our own band together.
All right, again, thanks to Bob Vorwald, our executive producer, Mike Lafrano, and the entire Cubs organization. Jeff Schmidt from Budweiser, they did a great job, and of course Mike Yerke and all the great folks at House of Blues. We have baseball coming up as the Cubs host the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll be back to Wrigley Field after this.
I'm working on a summer just to try to earn $1. Well, I try to call my baby.
Before you order your next beer, consider this. Budweiser still goes to the expense of Beechwood aging, an original old world style of lagering. And Budweiser cares enough to own and maintain world-renowned hop farms. A perfect choice in every corner bar, in every corner of the world. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser. Open up a world of taste.
Andrew just installed the webcam so I can watch Daddy all day long. Come check it out. All right. It's really cool.
Oh, she's so precious. Oh. Oh. Oh, that's not Dottie.
Oh, the hair. Oh. Want to get away? Now you can. With Southwest Airlines Internet specials, you can fly from Chicago Midway to select cities in the Midwest for just $49 one way. Purchased by May 3rd.
You are now free to move about the country.
What up, P?
Yo, I got an idea.
And welcome back to Wrigley Field. Actor and director Michael Keaton. He's directing a film here in Chicago. He's going to handle the 7th inning stretch today. And he's a big Pittsburgh Pirates fan, so maybe reminiscing with Aramis Ramirez. And the grounds crew does great work at Wrigley getting the field ready. It's kind of fun just to watch what they do to dry out this field and get it ready for baseball.
Boy, they have it down to a science. Of course, they've had enough practice, but they know exactly where the wet spots are likely to be. Once they take that tarp off the field, it's only a matter of minutes until they get it game ready.
So we will end up starting about 70 minutes after the scheduled first pitch. A very windy day, wind coming in off the lake. And once we start, you hope that you don't have any more delays. It'll be Ted Lilly, left-hander for the Cubs, against the ace of the Milwaukee Brewers staff, Ben Sheets.
You know, Len, we talk a lot about communication when we talk about baseball between position players, letting each other know who's going to make the play. I got it, you take it, all that kind of stuff. And on a day like this, communication is extremely important as well. You mentioned Roger Barrett and his ground crew staff. They're constantly in communication with the weather service to find out where the potential window might be to get the ball game started. You have to let both ball clubs know exactly what's going on so the players can start their preparation at the appropriate time. And obviously the most important thing is, when do those starting pitchers go out there and begin their warm-ups? Because the last thing anybody wants to happen is to have your starting pitchers go out there, get heated up, get prepared to start a ball game, and then have to shut it down and maybe not be able to take the ball later and then pitch in the ball game. So communication very important in all aspects of the game on a day like today.
And Ben Sheets actually got bumped. He was completely ready to go against the Cardinals in St. Louis. And right before the game, a downpour, and the game was postponed. And so he had his start pushed back. So yeah, once the starting pitchers get ready to go, it's almost like they have pitched in a regular game. All right, we're going to get our first pitch coming up today.
Star of several box office hits, including Mr. Mom, Beetlejuice, and Batman. Currently in Chicago directing his new movie, The Merry Gentleman. Cubs welcome to legendary actor and director Michael Keaton.
Well, he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, Batman throws a natural cutter. Threw one warm-up pitch short of the mound, then went all the way back to the rubber and threw a cutter just off the outside corner to Rocky Cherry, catching the ceremonial first pitch today.
So we'll chat with him a little bit later on. Today's broadcast of Chicago Cubs baseball from Wrigley Field on WGN Sports is presented in high definition, sponsored by Comcast, and brought to you in 5.1 Dolby surround sound. Well, let's check out Ned Yost's Milwaukee Brewers lineup. They have won 4 in a row. They're leading this division. Ricky Weeks starts at J.J. Hardy at short. 5 home runs his last 6 games. Prince Fielder, the guy you have to keep in the ballpark today, 2 game-winning home runs. Hall, Estrada, Kevin Mensch hit a home run last night. Corey Hart is in right. Tony Graffinino, the third baseman. And Ben Sheets pitches well. He struggles a bit at the plate, hitting .076 in his career.
Take a look at your Chicago Cubs defensively, brought to you by Pepsi. Your world, your Pepsi. Cliff Floyd filling in for Alfonso Soriano in left field under the conditions here today. Felix Pié in center field. Jock Jones over in right. Aramis Ramirez at third base. The big change, the surprising change, Ryan Theriot getting the start at shortstop today. Mark DeRosa at second base. Derek Lee over at first. Michael Barrett will be doing the catching today for left-hander Ted Lilly. Len mentioned it earlier. Lilly has been the tough luck starter in the rotation this year, has really pitched well in all 4 of his previous starts. Only has 1 victory to show for it. His first start against the Reds on the road. Looking to stifle Prince Fielder. A lot of good bats in this Brewers lineup, but Fielder the guy that's done the majority of the damage in the first 2 games of this series.
Well, the season series right now, the Cubs have dropped 3 of the first 5. The all-time series is tied 72 apiece, and that includes 36 and 36 at Wrigley Field. So since Milwaukee has come over to the National League, it's been a very competitive series.
You mentioned Ben Sheets, the starter for the Brewers today, and I touched on it briefly earlier. This guy figures to be a good matchup against the Cubs. You see his numbers against the Cubs in his last 6 starts. He's been very good. Over his last 13, however, the number's not quite as good. This is a guy that likes his fastball, has a real good 4-seam fastball. He'll mix in an occasional sinker, but lives and dies with that fastball and an overhand curve. And when he falls behind in the count, he's not going to try to trick anybody. He's going to come at you with that heater, and hopefully that'll play well into the Cubs offense today.
Well, we talked about it on the leadoff man. The Cubs had their chances in the ball game last night against Jeff Suppan. They had 2 hits in the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 5th, but they hit into 3 double plays, 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 4th, and another in the 5th. And while it's a pitcher's best friend, it really can shift that momentum for your offense in a bad way, and that's what happened last night. Rich Hill didn't pitch all that badly, but he gave up 4 runs in 6 in the 3rd and took his first loss. Wayne Messmer now with our national anthem.
And kindly remove your caps. Join along with me, Chicago Cubs public address announcer Wayne Messmer, accompanied by Gary Pressing at the Wrigley Field Lowry organ in a singing and playing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
What a great treat to hear Wayne Messmer with our national anthem here at Wrigley. Kudos to the fans. There are a lot of people in the ballpark. It's not a baseball weather day, to say the very least, and really wasn't last night. But they stuck it out last night, and they were here early today. Well, the Cubs, you just hope the players aren't putting too much pressure on themselves. But, you know, it's getting a little late to say it's early. It's probably a Yogiism, but the Cubs 3-9 here at home. and struggling at home the last couple of years as well.
And make no mistake, the players certainly appreciate the support they get here at Wrigley Field. It's like no other ballpark in baseball as far as fans persevering and sticking it out, as you mentioned last night, through the worst of conditions, cold wind and rain throughout the ball game. Players realize that the fans come out here, they're going to stand by the team regardless of what happens, and they would love to reward them with some better play on the field, some more victories, some W flags flying over that scoreboard.
Ed Cedar from just up the road, and Waukegan, he's a first base coach for Milwaukee, and he's exchanging the lineup card with Lou Piniella. And the umpires today: Tom Hallion, Mike Everett, Paul Nart, and Brian Gorman. So we're getting set here for the first pitch in a few minutes. Field looks pretty good.
As usual, the areas around the infield will be the areas of concern. You mentioned dumping the water off the tarp into the outfield grass. That'll be a soggy area. The areas in front of both dugouts are very muddy, very sloppy right now. And I'm sure as the outfielders get out there and start moving around in their positions, they will find some soft spots out there. Very important. You keep your feet under you today. Try not to overextend.
Very foggy and hazy. And they usually take the standings flags down when it's really, really windy. So the American flag flying above the scoreboard, but that's the only one up there today. Hey, thanks to Bruce Miles from the Daily Herald and Cubs Director of Player Development and Latin American Operations, Oneri Flita, for joining us during our rain delay coverage. Also have to give a pop to the Bud Light Real Men of Genius. Dave Bickler, Pete Stacker for putting together that great piece during the bash. We're also told that Ned Yost, recovering from a broken collarbone, he was jogging here in the area. He was finishing up a run from Lake Michigan, and he tripped and fell and broke his collarbone. Oh, well, I hope Ned's all right. So there he is, and might partially explain why he didn't come out and do the exchange of the lineup card.
Probably won't see him waving his arms arguing with an umpire today. I imagine he'll keep both hands in his pocket.
So Ted Lilly getting ready to work today. It'll be his 5th start of the year. 2nd in the National League with 30 strikeouts.
Sparkling opponent's batting average of only 165. He's gone over the 100 pitch mark in 3 of his 4 starts, 90 pitches in the other one. There's the 30 strikeouts to 5 walks. Tremendous ratio. Only 15 base hits in 26 innings. Throws all 4 pitches to all 4 quadrants of the plate. Will change speeds on his breaking ball. Has really shown great command of all 4 pitches in the early going.
We're just reading more about Ned Yost. Went to the hospital yesterday. Doctor wanted to have his arm immobilized. Yost said no thanks and came back to the park last night, and the Brewers beat the Cubs 4-1. So Ned did not get a lot of sleep last night, to say the very least. His son, also named Ned the 4th, plays in the Brewers minor league system, and I saw that he went on the disabled list. He injured his shoulder body surfing on an off day. It's been a strange week for the Yost family.
Well, hopefully the Cubs will add to his pain somewhat today. Drop a loss on the Brewers before they leave town.
And we are finally underway. About 1 hour 10 after our scheduled start. 1 ball, no strikes on Ricky Weeks. One hour, 11-minute rain delay prior to the start of the ball game.
Probably don't have to tell fans at home. The wind blowing straight in, 17 miles an hour. Very cold, soggy, wet afternoon here at Wrigley Field. Should benefit the pitchers, but we'll see how it goes.
44 degrees as we get started. And officially 17 miles per hour is the wind out of the northeast. Ground ball to second base. Mark DeRosa gobbles it up and throws on to first, and 1 out. Thanks to Tom Skilling for the weather updates, and we'll go back to him as needed throughout the afternoon.
Well, no offense, but hopefully we've seen the last of Tom for this afternoon.
Now J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, 6 home runs already. He's hit 5 during a 6-game hitting streak. And he looks at a strike at the knees. Tom Hallion calling balls and strikes. Swing and a miss. Good news on Ron Santo. He got out of the hospital yesterday. He's on medication, resting comfortably at home, and we'll see Ron back at the ballpark on the next homestand. Jock Jones racing over, and he makes a catch. 2 outs.
Mentioned the possible soggy footing in the outfield. A big key today is going to be getting good jumps on the ball off the bat, and Jock Jones did just that. Little slicing fly ball. Jock Jones off on contact. Makes it into a pretty easy play.
Fans know what Fielder's done the last 2 days. Game-winning home run Monday night, did the same last night. The homer last night was off a left-hander, Rich Hill, on a hanging curveball. But nobody in the ballpark thought that anybody could hit one out the way he did. It was very high, but he has so much power. He was able to muscle it out.
Yeah, 3 of his 5 homers have come against left-handed pitching this year.
Hill suffering his first loss of the year. Big swing and a miss. And Lilly is ahead 1-2.
Now, usually with 2 strikes, Fielder likes to spread out in the batter's box. It eliminates any stride whatsoever, widens his stance a little bit, just tries to use his hands.
And a base hit into right for Fielder. Able to turn on that fastball. And he's the first base runner of the afternoon.
A little bit of a stride this time against Ted Lilly. Not a lot. Just picks that front foot up, puts it back down again, kind of alters his swing, pulls his hands in close to his body, drives that ball through the right side.
So it brings up Bill Hall, who has 2 hits against the Cubs this year and 18 at-bats. Blowing inside. I mentioned in spring training, Ted Lilly and Michael Barrett were together years ago in the Montreal organization. Lilly with just 9 games and 3 starts for the Expos in 1999. So prior to this year, that was his only National League experience. Working quickly, and the kick and the 2-0 in on the hands, and he fouled it off.
Now, Michael Barrett has probably spent more time watching video in the first 3 weeks of the regular season here than he did all year last year, trying to learn his new pitching staff, specifically Ted Lilly and Jason Marquis.
Another foul, and it's even up 2-2.
Brewers not much of a running ball club. Ricky Weeks is a guy that will steal a base. Bill Hall from time to time will attempt to steal a base. Corey Hart playing right field today, another guy who will attempt to steal a base from time to time, but not a lot of speed on this Brewers ball club.
Swing and a miss and a strikeout. A little bit of a foul tip as Barrett able to hang on. The Brewers leave one. The Cubs are coming up.
Do you have a dinosaur?
No.
Do you have the space shuttle?
No.
What do you have?
Well, we have a display